Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Nate here. And it's no secret that in Skyrim, you, the Dragonborn, are quite the adventurer. You save guilds, capture cities, and even slay dragons. Quite some potential exploits if you ask me. However, what if I were to tell you that Skyrim was also home to a number of people with similar aspirations that simply weren't as successful as you? After all, I mean, Skyrim's a harsh place, and not everyone was born with the silver spoon in their mouth that is a dragon's soul. Suffice to say, Skyrim is littered with the corpses of quite a few unfortunate fortune seekers. And that's what we're going to explore today. Sit back and relax as we take a look at 5 more unlucky adventurers in The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Starting off, meet Agrius. Well, you can't meet him because he's dead. You get the idea. His corpse can be found right at the entrance of Haldir's Cairn in Falkreath, and immediately it should be clear this was no ordinary passing. You see, next to his body will be 2 others, belonging to a male Nord named Vidgrad, and a female Imperial going by Rain. The most obvious thing about this pile of bodies is that it sits before a small pile of stones, with a strange purple light emanating from it. What in the world is going on here, and how did these people come to die? Well, nearby on a podium, the player can find Agrius' journal, which reveals the terrible fate these people suffered. In it, Agrius writes that he, Vidgrad, and Rain were all actually once members of the Knife Point Ridge bandit tribe, but for whatever reason, they were forced to flee from their original gang and sent into exile. Eventually, the trio came upon this cave, and figured it would make for a pretty fair temporary shelter while they plotted their next moves. But soon after arriving, things took a turn for the odd. Agrius notes that his 2 friends started talking about making the cave their permanent home, and they began refusing to leave even for short periods of time to do things like hunting and foraging. Obviously, this frustrated our boy Agrius, who was essentially forced to be the only one getting food for everybody. Over the next few days, though, a strange sickness overtook his companions. They completely stopped talking at all, and just sat around, not moving. At this point, Agrius had had enough, and he planned to walk out on them. But he realized he couldn't leave the cave either. Something was almost compelling him to stay. That's when he heard the voice. The strange, terrifying voice of Haldir, an ancient evil Draugr living in the cave. Haldir commanded the 3 to sacrifice themselves to him, by jumping on that pile of rocks we see when we first enter. Here's the final paragraph of Agrius' diary. Rain jumped first, onto the cairn. That's what Master wants. Blood, sacrifice, power to live again. His magic, I can feel it pulsing in my blood. He is draining us. We'll serve him soon. Our bodies, our souls, just like the others. They're waiting. It's my turn now. Haldir killed these people and absorbed their strength. Alas, after you progress just a short while into the dungeon, you'll meet Haldir for yourself in combat. He'll pose quite the challenge, but once defeated, you'll notice that that strange purple light will go away, and the pile of rocks at the entrance will fall apart too. Agrius and his group will finally be freed. It's just a shame we couldn't have arrived any sooner. Next on our list, east of Tumblearge Pass in the Pale, is another curious corpse. Albeit, this one has a bit more calcium exposed than the others. A pile of bones lies in the middle of nowhere, half buried in the snow, clutching onto a shrine of Julianos. What has happened here? Was someone just running through the tundra naked, carrying around a shrine for some reason? Unless their clothes have already decomposed, it certainly seems that way. Furthermore, there's no nearby weapons. One would think it's quite dangerous to go around a troll and bandit-infested place like this completely unarmed. Notably, and rather ironically, Julianos is the god of wisdom and logic. And nothing about these remains suggests this person was acting wise or logically. To be fair, most of Julianos' devoted worshippers are mages in academia, so perhaps this person was once a wizard, and that would explain the lack of a physical weapon being present. But even then, where were they taking this shrine anyway? It's even feasible that this shrine was already at this location before the person came upon it, and they just happened to find it and die nearby. No matter, their spirit is with Julianos now. Also, his blessing gives you plus 25 magicka points, so that's nice too. Coming in at number 3, this one is particularly special, as not only is it multiple unlucky adventurers, but you can only find them early in the game. Though we'll get to that part later. North of Fort Newgrad and east of Helgen, sitting along the road leading to the rift, is a tragic sight. An entire caravan lay destroyed. The bodies of multiple Khajiit traders and their horses are scattered in the rubble. Around the area, arrows can be found, as well as a large log that was used to block the road. These traders from elsewhere were clearly the victims of an ambush. As the player approaches the scene, you'll find that the orchestrators of such an attack haven't left, as you yourself will then be ambushed by a number of bandits emerging from the tree line. They've been waiting for you. Once you've easily murdered all these hooligans to death, which you will because let's face it, you're the Dragonborn and they're not, you'll be free to loot the area. As the bandits, for whatever reason, after attacking the caravan, left everything in place and didn't steal anything. Perhaps they were using it all as bait. Among the left behind items will be a speech skill book, the buying game, a silver amulet, and a few chests containing randomized loot. Now, the interesting thing about this location, as we mentioned, is that it's actually only available prior to when the Falkreath Stormcloak Camp has spawned in. You see, just a short ways down the road west from this location is where the Stormcloak's Falkreath Camp is supposed to be located. But it doesn't spawn in until the player has visited Whiterun to inform Jarl Bolgraf of Helgen's recent attack by a dragon. Once you've done that and the camp has been spawned in, the ambush area will be removed and cleaned up, almost as if it never happened. So the only way to witness such a sight is if you head to this location prior to beginning the main questline in earnest. Now, I of course have no idea why Bethesda specifically chose to make the Falkreath camp behave this way. None of the other camps act like this, they're all pre-spawned in as the game starts. But hey, I'm sure this just works. For 4th spot, we venture across the high seas to Solstein, particularly the island's southeast corner. As just behind the mushroom fortress of Tel Mithrin, on some cliff sides will be a couple of heartstone deposits, with the charred corpses of 2 clearly not so lucky miners next to them. Near one of the corpses will be a pickaxe, and next to the other will be a knapsack with randomized loot. But don't get too close though, as if you do, 2 Ashspawn will emerge from the ground nearby the bodies and attack. Is it possible that these Ashspawn are somehow related to the miners? We do know from dialogue with Elder Othreloth and the quest Old Friends that Ashspawn are the remains of cremated Dunmer under the enchantment of Heartstones. While neither of these miners was exactly cremated, they certainly were burned quite a bit, and are in close proximity to a Heartstone deposit, so it does make some sense. Otherwise, I suppose it's possible these Ashspawn may in some way be responsible for the dead miners in the first place. But either way, keep an eye out if you're ever wandering around the back of Tel Mithrin. And finally, last on our list, west of Robber's Gorge and Hjalmarch, the Dragonborn can find what's left over from yet another horrible massacre. Though it's not bandits nor ancient Draugr responsible for this one, but instead, saber cats. Here the bloodied and bitten remains of no less than 7 victims, if you account for the skulls, lie scattered as the 2 great cats watch over their recent kills. But if you're able to overcome these ferocious felines, you'll notice that this group of individuals were carrying quite a few valuables. Among them will be a silver necklace, a gold coin pouch, some arrows on the ground, no doubt fired in a vain attempt to repel the attackers, a leveled helmet, and a satchel with random goodies. A quick inspection of the cohort also reveals an interesting makeup. The only discernible corpses belong to 2 hunters and a random Nordic woman. Furthermore, a steel helmet is also among the scattered items, suggesting a warrior or guard was in their company as well. What exactly was this group doing? Settling a city in Civ? There's no nearby baggage trains or carts or anything of that sort. It's as if these people were just sort of walking around all in one big group for some reason. Though, honestly, I have to admit, I'm pretty impressed with the Saber Cats. They were able to take on 7 people, at least 2 of which were actual hunters who attack animals for a living, and one of them was obviously a warrior. The odds were certainly against this couple of animals, yet still, they persevered. But it's with that inspiring note that we are going to wrap up. 5 more unlucky adventurers in The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Which of the ones featured on this list did you find to be your personal favorites or most interesting? And what random bodies and corpses throughout Skyrim have you found that you think have a bit of an interesting story behind them and I've yet to cover? Leave a comment down below. As I always say, like ratings are very much appreciated. Thanks for stopping by, everyone, and hope to catch you all in my next video. Peace out, everybody.